Tonight on Nova. These 3 baby whales are sole survivors of a mass whale stranding. Now, the scientists who saved them are mounting a risky operation to return them to the wild.
We could go out there and put these animals back. They could be rejected. They could get lost.
Join narrator Richard Whitmark for a science adventure story. Whale Rescue. Presentation of Whale Rescue is made possible by this station and other public television stations nationwide, which depend on viewer support, and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Series funding for Nova is provided by Allied Signal and by the Johnson & Johnson family of companies.
The place is First Encounter Beach, Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Along a 20-mile stretch of coastline, a mysterious phenomenon is taking place. Dozens of pilot whales are stranding on the beach. A team of scientists and volunteers is fighting a desperate battle. Risking broken bones and hypothermia in the icy water, they're struggling to prevent the 4,000 and 5,000 pound animals from getting up on the beach, trying to push them back out to sea. The response team is part of an official stranding network directed by the New England Aquarium in Boston. Team leader Greg Early has been on the scene for several hours.
We were alerted before animals were actually up on the beach. Someone noticed milling behavior, which we've characterized as a sign of trouble when it's done by animals close to shore. And we were alerted that there were whales milling dangerously close to shore. We attempt to avert the stranding as best we can, literally turning the whales around in the shallows and trying to get them reoriented and out of the area.
This time, the effort is in vain. The whale flounders in the surf and then re-strands further up the beach. But the struggle continues because sometimes it does work. Altogether on this day, 15 whales are pushed off and seem to head away from shore. But at least 25 others are scattered along the 20-mile stretch of coast. Some in isolated areas, others too weak to push off. Now the tide is going out, and they'll soon be hopelessly stranded.
Let's get everybody up there.
Pushing off is no longer possible, and the response teams must adopt a new strategy. 2 whales, small enough to be carried by front-end loader, are moved to a nearby salt pond. Here they can be more easily supported while waiting for a break in the weather and the possibility of a release. For other whales too large, too badly injured, or too isolated to move, the prognosis is not as good. They are warm-blooded, air-breathing mammals, but their bodies are designed for the weightless environment of the sea. On land, their lungs and organs are crushed by their own weight.
The animals physiologically are dying right before your very eyes. They slip through your fingers. If you have 50 whales ashore, the majority of them are going to be beyond much hope.
Their blood begins to pool. It's not made to circulate around in a body lying on the ground. You'll notice that if it was lying on a flipper, and we saw this year, that great areas of necrosis form because the tissue had already begun to die. If you have dying tissue, muscle tissue breakdown, those toxic byproducts get into the circulatory system eventually. Kidneys can't handle them. They don't have water. They get their water from the food they eat. So you've got a process that begins.
Through the night, volunteers give what comfort they can. The whales are kept wet so their skin won't dry out in the wind. Of the 25 or more whales on the beach, half are still alive, and perhaps 5 may be healthy enough to release in the morning. Those who witness the suffering find themselves asking a difficult question. Why does it happen? There are no firm answers, but most scientists agree that it's not intentional. Geography probably plays a role. This stretch of coast on Cape Cod has one of the highest stranding rates in the world. Many scientists feel that Cape Cod Bay, with its hooked coastline, shallow bottom, and exposure to winter storms from the northeast, is a natural trap. Some also suggest that a geomagnetic field in submerged rocks at the east end of the bay may disrupt the whale's internal guidance systems, although it's never been proven that whales respond to magnetism. Dr. Charles Stormy Mayo is director of the Center for Coastal Studies on Cape Cod. Like many other scientists, he thinks that mass strandings are probably caused by an unlucky combination of events.
I could imagine, though I won't tell you this is what happens, that it is a combination of perhaps a slightly confused geomagnetic sense. That's the geomagnetic anomaly theory, and there is an anomaly here. A little confused on your movement patterns because of that. And shallow, flat bottom that doesn't seem to have a cline that would give you an idea of which way offshore was. And then a storm comes along, and there may be perhaps a large male that may be old and may make wrong decisions, and a school of fish comes into the area and he swims the school into shallower water, and perhaps the moon is full, and or any one of those, and all of them together conspire, and some days they may conspire more than others, and so the event happens. And that beach may have a number of those different conditions. In fact, we know it does.
The problems in Cape Cod Bay are compounded by the pilot whale's natural herding instincts. In the open ocean, they tend to stick together, probably as a survival strategy.
You take that same strategy, bring them into Cape Cod Bay, and perhaps other places, even a straight beach, and stir up the bay and cause a problem. These animals are already at risk in the shallow water, and this strategy of survival becomes a lethal mechanism, because if something happens to one animal, everybody's in trouble.
On the morning after the stranding, a revised count shows at least 30 whales scattered along the coast. More than half are dead. And gale-force winds continue to frustrate hopes of releasing any of the survivors. The scientific team from the New England Aquarium is responsible for deciding what happens next.
We now have animals that are on the shore that have sustained a great deal of damage, and they're very large, mostly, large females, and they've been damaged by really the crush associated with their own weight ashore. and they're in poor condition, and we've taken a number of blood tests and made some assessments on their health, and those animals will be euthanized as soon as the time and tide allow.
For some of those who have been taking care of the whales, it'll be difficult to accept the decision to give the damaged animals lethal injections. Dr. Gerasi now faces the difficult task of explaining the situation to the local volunteers.
Eventually, blood does no longer circulate adequately in the animal, and oxygen can't get to the muscle or to the liver or to the kidneys. And in that condition, the animal isn't shot. And unfortunately, that's something that we really can't reverse. And so what we'll have to do is euthanize her, and we use a solution, the same solution that's used in domestic animals. And it's painless, and it's the only humane thing to do in this case.
Well, I mean, we've been working all day on this, and you probably, from what you say, could have told us right away this morning and saved us a lot of heartache.
This decision is made only as a last resort. But after the long vigil, people have become emotionally attached to the whales.
I understand that, and it's not an easy judgment to you. I know that. But it's a judgment I'm making as a veterinarian with, I don't know what else we can do.
In a desperate effort, one group tries to release its whale, pushing her into the bay where she struggles to swim. They think that as long as the animal is still alive, she should be given a fighting chance at survival. But Dr. Gerasi believes that they are merely postponing the inevitable.
I don't believe that we act hastily. We don't. But we have a good idea of what animals are going to live and which aren't. And it's rather sad to see, for example, those animals that we say should be euthanized, and if there's enough pressure from a local group, then we'll go elsewhere, because we're not really missionaries after the cause. Nevertheless, often those animals are pushed out to sea, and we find them dead the next day, and they drowned. And it may have taken them 3 hours or 12 hours or 24 hours, but they drown. And if we have a way to prevent that, I think we should exercise that prerogative.
The December 3rd stranding leaves 27 whales dead. Most of those died from trauma. The rest were euthanized. The fate of the 15 whales that were prevented from stranding is unknown. But this episode does end on a hopeful note. For the first time in the long history of strandings on Cape Cod, there are confirmed survivors. 3 young calves who have lost their mothers are rescued from the beach. Because they're small, they haven't suffered much damage, and they can be moved. They'll be taken to the New England Aquarium, where they can recuperate under close medical supervision. It is hoped that they can be returned to the sea eventually. But for now, captivity is the only option.
They would have been, lone survivors of a herd. And from what we know about herd structure, they probably would not have done well by themselves. They feed as a large group. They protect one another in large groups. Some of the old animals act as sentinels or guards. We don't know quite enough about their behavior. We do know they require one another, and they live as a tight, gregarious group. And so letting them go out to sea would have been committing them to the ultimate sentence.
So the 3 orphans have a new home in a private pool at the New England Aquarium's Animal Care Center.
Immediately when we put them in the pool, they appeared disoriented. Their swimming was not vigorous. They weren't interacting with each other in their environment. What we did was immediately begin to try and interest them in food. They get all of their water from their food, and we feel that it's pretty critical to get them to feed in order to maintain some sort of water balance.
The youngest whale, called Baby, was still nursing at the time of the stranding, and so must be taught to eat. This is done by lowering the water in the pool so that he can be held, putting a fish in his mouth and seeing if he'll take it.
All right, let's put him down. It took longer for the smaller whale. It took several tries. It took several more days. After several days of not eating, he was pretty badly dehydrated, and we intubated him. We passed the tube into his stomach and gave him fluids, gave him mainly water and electrolytes. We had to do that once or twice, I'm not sure.
Eventually, the allure of herring proves irresistible to Baby, and the process of recovery is underway. The frozen fish diet is fortified with multiple vitamins and extra B1. They also receive antibiotics to prevent infection. Within a month, Baby and the two older calves, Tag and Notch, show strong signs of improvement. And by spring, they're in good health. Baby is now a year and a half old. Tag is about 2. And Notch is 2.5. All 3 are males. Pilot whales normally stay with their mothers until the age of 4 or 5 and aren't considered mature until 10 or 12. So these are no more than toddlers. Their playful close formation swimming shows that they're developing normal pilot whale behaviors, becoming their own small herd of 3. Feeding time is now eagerly anticipated.
Stole a couple. He's a growing boy.
By May, they've gained between 150 and 300 pounds each. The aquarium staff can now begin to think seriously about the next phase of this rescue operation. The return of these 3 whales to the wild. The first question that must be answered is, when should it happen?
Well, there were 2 considerations. One, the health, and they could have been released perhaps 2 months ago, not before that. The other was we're concerned about the age of the young animal, and we wanted to get it to socialize with the 2 others and to fix on as a member of that group. So that was really a major consideration with us. We would not have released the animals 3 months ago, only because we could not have released that 3rd animal. Had the other 2 animals been there alone by themselves, then we could have released them sooner. But we were paying more attention to this little fellow and hoping that in the company of others he would do okay. And he needed to grow. He needed to grow and gain weight, and he did.
The NOAA research vessel Albatross 4 will be used to transport the whales and scientists 80 to 120 miles out to sea, where the young calves can be released into a herd of wild pilot whales. This 187-foot stern trawler has the necessary workspace and crane for handling the whales, as well as lab facilities and other specialized equipment.
A lot still has to be done.
A target date is set for the end of June. The aquarium staff now works against a rapidly approaching deadline.
Because we are now only 18 days away.
The individual team members have experience in moving whales, but this operation presents special problems. And since no one has ever attempted anything like it before, there are no proven methods.
The thing we don't have the experience with is how do we lift a whale off the deck of a rolling ship, 3 whales simultaneously off the deck of a rolling ship, and release them simultaneously. Because we cannot afford probably to have a 5-minute or a 10-minute or 15-minute period between each whale's release. I want those whales to be next to one another. I want them to hear one another so that they stay together. To me, I think it's very important that we keep this social group together. I think they'll have a better chance intermingling with another social group.
Walk in towards this side so they don't just go right around.
While the details of the release are being worked out, the health of the whales is watched closely. With the pool drained to a depth of 2 feet, the team can isolate the whales for physical checkups.
Just back off right to the wall.
They work like cowboys trying to separate a calf from the herd. As the team attempts to isolate Notch, Baby gets separated from the group. And he reacts just like the baby that he is. Notch is maneuvered onto a stretcher, slowly and with extreme care to avoid injuring his pectoral flippers.
He's floating high enough here. We can probably just slide him right in.
Once he's lifted out of the water, the examination proceeds quickly. This routine has been carried out at least once a month since the whales were rescued in December. It's been a rare opportunity for the scientists to learn about pilot whale physiology.
We saw this as a source of information and knowledge, and that's a long-term investment. We now know how to handle an animal that's been ashore, been stressed, either stressed by capture or by beaching naturally. We've got some very good physiological parameters to measure. We have methods to treat those animals.
As the countdown to release day continues, Tag, Notch, and Baby are in excellent health. The mechanics of the operation are being worked out, and the scientists are optimistic. But still, there are no guarantees.
The results of our work are yet to be known. We could go out there and put these animals back. They could be rejected. They could get lost.
Even if they are rejected or lost, marine mammal science will benefit from this experiment and perhaps understand better what to do or not do at the next stranding. But for the public, which is eagerly following the story in newspapers and on television, the only thing that matters is that these 3 whales swim free again.
That's society. That's human response. And I'm not saying that we're all science because we're human. There's some of that with us, too. Because if you work with these animals, they draw you right in. They all smile when they stick their head out of the water.
So, the scientists as well as the public are hoping for a happy conclusion. But whether success will be possible in the uncontrolled environment outside the aquarium remains to be seen. Sunday, June 28th. Moving day at the New England Aquarium. Tag, Notch, and Baby have been in the Animal Care Center pool for almost 7 months. If all goes according to plan, this will be their last day of captivity. Aboard the Albatross 4, in its berth a mile away from the aquarium, final preparations are underway. The whales in their stretchers will be suspended in carrier boxes and supported by foam rubber. With constant attention, they should be fairly comfortable. But the shorter the trip, the better off they'll be. Back at the aquarium, John Prescott is trying to determine how far they'll have to go to find a herd of pilot whales that might accept the 3 young calves.
We're 60 to 80 miles out there versus, 60 and 120.
The aquarium survey plane is tracking one herd 120 miles out. That's a 12-hour trip. But a local fisherman has reported another herd closer by.
But if it is true, it's only an 8.5-hour trip here, whereas it's a 10 to 12-hour out here. So we're trying to get the aircraft to take a swing up there.
But the plane is out of radio range, so they must get confirmation some other way.
Did any of the other fishing boats call back yet?
No, nobody from up north.
John wants to time the departure so that they'll rendezvous with the whale herd early tomorrow morning. If there's a closer herd, that means they should wait several hours before moving the whales to the ship. Meanwhile, the crew is standing by. John finally makes contact with a whale watch boat that's been near the area of the unconfirmed report.
So, well, you know there are lots of whales there. You don't know if there's a lot. You've not heard pilot whales.
It appears that the longer trip is the safer bet.
I'm going to start the process over here of loading. It'll probably be an hour, hour and a half before we get to you.
That's fine, no problem. We'll be standing by. Albatross 4 clear.
months of anticipation are over. Tag, Notch, and Baby are going home. The first leg of the journey is from the pool to a truck. When all 3 whales are aboard, they'll be driven to the ship. Tag and Baby have taken the handling without complaint. But Notch is less happy about being hoisted up in the air. It's just a brief struggle, but it won't be his last rebellion on this trip.
You all right, Jackie?
Alongside the ship, Captain Frank Arbusto and his crew join the operation.
One of my guys want to go up. You want to go up?
How's he looking?
Absolutely free. We don't need any foam there. Put all the foam at the sternum and let him rest there. Okay?
Take in the stern lines.
Take in the stern lines.
Left 25 degrees rudder.
Left 25 degrees rudder.
10 feet ahead.
10 feet ahead.
7 p.m. The Albatross 4 is underway.
Steady she goes.
The destination is 120 miles to the southeast. The expected time of arrival, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. For the next 12 hours, the attention of the crew will be focused on keeping the whales healthy.
So far, so good. We're just making some adjustments on the foam and just getting them comfortable for the ride.
Temperature regulation is a major concern. A whale's thick layer of blubber makes it something like a living thermos bottle. This allows it to survive in the cold ocean, but out of the water, it will quickly overheat unless it's kept wet.
We probably will need more ice eventually, but we got plenty of water.
Zinc oxide is applied to sensitive areas of skin to protect against wind and sunburn and chafing from the stretcher.
It's like the lifeguards at the beach.
John Prescott and radio tracking specialist Bruce Mate are designing a mount for the satellite transmitter that Tag will wear on his dorsal fin. This device will make it possible to track the whales for several months after release. It's a brand new piece of technology, delivered to the aquarium only hours before departure, which is why they're still designing the mount. 11 p.m. The medical team takes a round of blood samples. They'll be compared with samples taken earlier in the day to see if there are any changes in the whale's condition. In the lab, the samples are run through a blood gas analyzer to see how well the animals are using oxygen and expelling carbon dioxide.
Bingo.
The results are close to normal, which means their circulation is good. In fact, they're actually doing better now than they were in the stressful period at the beginning of the move 8 hours ago.
2 here, 2 there.
1 a.m.
And 1 up there.
John and Bruce consult Dr. Gerasi about their design for the satellite transmitter mount. It must be anatomically correct, since Tag will be wearing it on his dorsal fin.
Maybe able to tag one really close, Bruce. Right in there.
Joe will attach the mount shortly before the release, which is now less than 6 hours away. 5 a.m. During the night, Baby has shifted slightly in his stretcher. This may have caused some stiffness in his muscles, so he's going to have a massage. After his rub-down, Baby looks more like a client at a health spa than a wild animal. But the easy living will soon be over. On the bridge, marine biologist John Nicholas is keeping a lookout for whales.
Well, there's about a half a dozen humpbacks still out here, right off the bow. We should be into a real good show here in a few minutes. One blowing right off the bow. If we were looking for humpbacks, we'd never find them. Enough activity. I think there'd be some pilot whales around.
The aquarium survey plane arrives to help locate the pilot whale herd that the team is looking for.
Okay, well, we're just coming up on the waypoint. You guys looks like you're about 4 miles from where our sighting was yesterday. So we're going to go circle around over there. We'll give you a call.
That's a Roger. This is the NOAA research vessel Albatross, clear 79, standing by channel 16.
Finally, Nicholas sees what he's been looking for. Pilot whales off the starboard side.
Yeah, there's about 10 or 12 of them.
Okay, pilots dead ahead.
Yeah, there's a couple of young ones in there.
The pilot whales are all over the place.
Okay, hands steering. Yeah, so we're right in the middle of a school of pilot whales now. You can keep an eye on them for us while we'll keep as close to them as we can, and we'll just hold to here until preparations are made to deploy the whales. Over.
Meanwhile, the medical team is busy attaching the radio tags. The whales wear short-range radios, so they can be followed immediately after release. Tag will also carry the satellite transmitter for long-term tracking. This mount, like the smaller radio tags, will be bolted through the fin with surgical plastic rods. Dr. Gerasi uses Novocaine to anesthetize the area.
I can see that.
The fin itself is a dense substance similar to scar tissue.
Okay, now I want the bore. I'm going to start on that
The
side.
dorsal fin functions in part as a heat exchanger to regulate the whale's body temperature. It contains several large blood vessels for this purpose, which Dr. Gerasi is trying to avoid.
Do this a little bit on this side. I'm going to meet it on the other side.
Wow. There they are.
Hey.
Oh, they're talking to
20 minutes.
Yo.
Look at them all. Wow.
just tightening up on the nuts.
The surgery is finished, without bleeding and apparently without pain. The nuts will slowly rust away in the seawater, allowing the transmitter to fall off by the time the batteries are used up. The press has arrived on a chartered boat. Word is out that some of them are feeling a little green after their overnight trip through heavy seas. But enthusiasm is returning now that the show is about to begin. A floating pen is being deployed beside the ship. Once the pen is secured, the whales will be lowered into it one at a time. After they've had a chance to acclimate themselves, the pen will be opened so all three can swim out together.
This way, pull this way. That's it.
The idea is to ensure that Tag, Notch, and Baby do not become separated during the release. It's feared that if the whales don't stick together, they probably won't survive, especially if they aren't immediately accepted by the herd.
You ready to go all the way?
Finally, the moment arrives.
Clear the box and clove across. You got it.
Notch is the first to go. So far, everything has gone according to plan.
Keep going.
But as soon as Notch is in the air, trouble develops. The pitch and roll of the ship is worse than expected, and Notch swings out of control. A tense moment later, the team brings him down and pauses to adjust the rigging.
All right, just hang on. All right, now. Okay. Joe, stand by that line there.
Once again, Notch is hoisted overhead. And once again, he proves hard to handle. This time, there's no turning back. They have to get him into the water before he slams into the side of the ship. In the water at last, but not out of trouble. As soon as he tastes freedom, Notch bolts and immediately gets stuck in the side of the pen.
Joey, let go of it!
If he can't surface, he can't breathe. Notch is in danger of drowning.
Cut that line. Let him go. There we go.
Finally, the ropes are cut away and Notch is set free.
Okay. There we go. All right. Stop your motor. All right. Okay. There we go.
With a mixture of relief and disappointment, the crew watches helplessly as Notch swims away, alone. It's a serious setback in more ways than one.
Who's got it?
Right in their hand over there. They got the back plate.
When he took off,
It appears that Notch's radio transmitter has fallen
I
off.
saw something silver on his dorsal when he.
Well, it may be, but it isn't going to last long.
Zinc oxide.
Well, honestly, I mean, the plate could have broken off around the.
They had it in their hand right there in the boat. They had the backing plate.
Without the radio, he'll be impossible to track, and there'll be no way of knowing whether he survives. A tough loss for the scientists.
That's disappointing. We didn't know how a whale's going to react to the water. Sure.
Neither did I, and I didn't think I had
He's
to
had 12 hours to rest.
I didn't think I had
Now
to
the
set him
question
down.
is how to handle the release of the other two. John decides to give up on the floating pen and release Tag and Baby by another method.
Stretchers have got plenty of room. Good. And just rig as fast as you can.
A cradle-like platform brought along for just this purpose is in position at the stern of the ship.
That's fine.
Tag and Baby will be placed on it side by side and lowered directly into the water.
You guys got your lines?
You gotta turn them around, right?
Want to turn around. Okay, turn around, John. Come on. That's it. That's it.
The lifting is much easier this time, since the animal doesn't have to be hoisted overhead.
That's it. Hold your lines.
Which side is on?
Let's get him on the
Which
side.
side you want to put him on?
Side.
That's it. Okay.
While this is going on, something unexpected happens. Notch returns. The surprised and relieved crew hurries to release Tag and Baby before Notch disappears again. But this time, Notch is in no hurry to leave.
That's it. Everything. Let it go. Don't say I'm pick up on him. That's all. Don't say I'm pick up the slack.
Watch them until they get a little relaxed.
Almost immediately, Notch finds Tag and Baby, and the reunion is complete.
There they are, right off the tail of the Yankee Freedom.
Yeah, they went to swim right by the
Just
camera.
went right off the tail.
Yeah.
Nice job, John. John?
There they are, all three of them.
Okay, Roger. Then come alongside. We'll pick you up.
There's three right there.
A little stiff.
I guess you would be too after lying in bed for 3/4 of the day.
God, it's amazing that third one stayed around. Turn around, coming back.
Look at the three of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something nice to see, those animals back in the sea.
Oh, yeah.
There they are all together. Hopefully we'll learn something from it. You know, just before we turned them loose, the satellite tag told us the satellite was overhead and it was functioning. Now we just have to wait for the next signal.
Let me see if it comes through the block.
It's been 6 hours since Tag, Notch, and Baby were returned to the sea. Now the scientists want to learn what happens to them. They haven't been seen since the release, so the team doesn't know whether they've joined the herd of pilot whales as hoped.
We know you're here. Come on up.
I'd like to have a good visual confirmation here before it gets dark.
The trackers are trying to home in on the radio signals to get close enough for a sighting. Notch, of course, lost his radio, but it's assumed that he's still with the other two. By comparing how loud the signals are from two antennas mounted on either side of the ship, the trackers can tell what direction the whales are in and how close they are. But they have to be within 8 miles of the whales to pick up the signal. By late afternoon, the whales have gotten out of range and radio contact is lost. The satellite tag will give them the exact latitude and longitude of the whales, but not until tomorrow morning. In the meantime, they have to make an educated guess as to which direction the whales have gone and attempt a systematic search.
I'd be for coming over another 6 coming up this way, then going up and doing that one.
In this way, they may be able to get back into radio range. and perhaps see the whales again before dark. But it's not to be. As night falls, there is still no signal and no sighting. In the morning, Bruce Mate makes contact with the satellite ground station.
We've got some stuff.
Now the team knows the exact location of the whales as of 20 minutes ago.
So we need to go west and we need to go south.
The satellite information indicates that, when we lost the animal last night, we guessed wrong. It's south of us right now. That satellite location is about 21 miles south of our present location. So right now we hope we can catch back up with them.
It'll take 2 hours to reach the new location. And it's going to be a rough trip. The seas are much heavier than yesterday, and the forecast is for increasing wind.
Tag, weak right.
2 hours later, they're back in contact. But it's a long time between signals, sometimes as long as 8 minutes. That means the whales are spending a lot of time diving, probably eating. That's a good sign. But it makes it difficult to follow the directional signals to the source. So the scientists play a game of hide and seek with the whales for the rest of the day.
Both right.
Even if the whales did surface nearby, the rough water would make it almost impossible to spot them. And so another day ends without a sighting. Wednesday, the last day of tracking, brings something new. A dense shroud of fog.
There's tag again on the right.
But the radio signals are the strongest yet.
We've come within a mile or two for sure. And the starboard side's much stronger than the left now. So we feel that the animal's almost directly abeam the ship.
Wouldn't you know it? When you get so close. The fog, that's not even 100 yards of visibility. At 6 o'clock we had a mile visibility, and if we had that now, we'd probably see the whales.
The rest of the day is a frustrating stakeout. Everyone expecting that at any moment Tag, Notch, and Baby will swim out of the fog. But it doesn't happen. In a final effort before dark, Bruce takes the antenna in hand. With the ship slowly circling in a dead calm, he pinpoints the animals. They can't be more than a few hundred yards away, but that's as close as they get.
They're off the stern right now. Gee. We're still close, Did we circle once or twice, John? We circled twice. Both times the whales made a new course correction, which seemed to mean they were avoiding the ship. And after the second one, they passed us, and they were off the stern and surfaced and stayed there for a minute, which is the longest surfacing we've had during the whole 3 days. They're up right now, very strongly.
I think they're avoiding us.
I think they're avoiding us.
They hear the ship and they're just staying away.
They've got their wits about them. Let's go in.
Okay.
If this has been a game, the whales have won. Satisfied that the 3 calves are doing well, the team heads for home and begins to think about the future.
It's amazing the dreams that have already begun to emerge from this group. Yes, you would like to do it again. Yes, you would like to have a bigger animal or two. You would like to put them out. We know those satellites work. So perhaps we can put a bigger animal out with a longer-term satellite and watch them maybe for 6 months or 8 months
as we learn more about the attachment process. So everything's a learning experience. And we all have started dreaming once again.
In the weeks following the release, the whale's progress is tracked by satellite and by airplane. During the first 2 weeks, they wander 500 miles to the south, in the company not of pilot whales, but of white-sided dolphins. Over the next 10 days, they move north again, returning to the release area. And this time, they're spotted from the air, swimming with a herd of pilot whales. By the time the satellite tag gives out after 97 days, the whales have traveled 4,300 miles in the waters off New England, and the data on surface and dive times reveals that they are leading a normal pilot whale life. At First Encounter Beach, where this story began, the scene is calm and peaceful. But pilot whales will return to Cape Cod Bay and will again strand on this shore. But now there is new knowledge and new hope for survivors. And somewhere out there are 3 whales who spent a short time among humans, who gave us a glimpse of their mysterious world, and who are swimming free in that world once more.